Hi, welcome to the WJA Passover cooking demo. I'm Felice Bogus, and I'm really happy to see so many of you back and see so many new people here. I know it feels like Purim just ended, and if you're like me, you still have hamantashen sitting around the house, but no, it's time to start thinking of Passover already. And it's going to be a different Passover this year. For me, it's my first empty nest Passover. It's just going to be myself and my husband, and for a lot of us, it's going to be a lot smaller this year. But that doesn't mean your food has to be any less interesting, doesn't mean you have to rely on packaged things. We're going to do today something new, something different, something so Hamish you probably might not even remember it yourself. These are the dishes we're going to be looking at today. We are going to be doing a gefilte fish a la Veracruzana, Mexican style gefilte fish. We are going to be making kremzelach, which may be something new to you, but it is the oldest dish here. And we're going to be doing a parve gluten-free, and no one's going to believe that, hazelnut truffle tart. Now, as always, I have checked on these dishes, on the ingredients in these dishes, and as of the 2020 OU Passover Guide, you can find all of the ingredients, either kosher for Passover or ingredients that are close enough that you can substitute comfortably. As of my taping this, I have not seen the 2021 OU Passover Guide. But please remember, if you have any questions about kashrut at any time of the year, but especially during Passover, please ask your rabbi. Your rabbi is the final word, not me. So having said all of that, let's get cooking. Today we're going to start talking about gefilte fish. It's a really divisive topic. Either your team gefilte fish or your team chopped liver. I'm a proud member of team chopped liver. But it's not a Seder table if you don't have gefilte fish. So let's look at a different way to do it. Because I grew up, you took it out of the jar, you stuck it on a plate, and it had jelly. It's not too interesting. This is gefilte fish a la Veracruzana. It is fairly common among the Mexican Jewish community. And you might be surprised to find out that there is a significantly large Ashkenazi Jewish community that have managed to meld their food traditions. So today we're going to take frozen gefilte fish, this is so fast, and we're going to turn it into something really special. We're going to start by chopping up some onion, half a cup chopped to saute. If you remember how we cut this last time, remember we made the cross hatches, cut all the way down close to each other, about as close as you'd like. Cut parallel to your board, being careful to keep your fingers out of the way. Remember, this is parve. We do not want to make it fleishach by getting your fingers in here. And chop down. And you have nice dices of onion. Okay, had my pan heating. Just going to add some oil here and let that come up to temperature. And this is not through the magic of video. I actually did have half a cup of onions here. So we're just going to put those in the pan. And we're going to saute them about 5 to 6 minutes, stirring just occasionally until they go translucent. We're not looking to brown them here. Okay. All right, you can see that I may have had my heat a little bit too high. My onions are looking a little bit brown here. It's not a disaster, but let's move on so that they don't get any more brown. Going to add the can of tomatoes, and I'm going to remind you once again that I am filming this before Passover, so this is not a kosher for Passover can of tomatoes, but they are available, and that is what you should be using here. We'll stir this through, and we're going to cook this down another 6 minutes. Let the tomatoes thicken up a little. Don't throw your can out just yet. There's still a lot of good tomato in there, and we're going to use that. I grew up in a household where gefilte fish came in a jar or sometimes even a can. I didn't even know such a thing as frozen gefilte fish existed, but it does, and let me tell you, it's an awful lot better than most of the stuff in the cans. It's probably worth trying to make your own gefilte fish from scratch just at least once, just so you can say you've done it. I did do it once, and it isn't that much of a problem, but I could not get the smell out of my house for the entire 8 days of Passover. So I use the frozen logs. We're going to use that today. This recipe does call for 2. but since it's just the two of us at home right now, just gonna use one because I cannot eat that much fish. You'll see that once you get the paper off and it is not behaving well, you do want to use your fish frozen still. Do not defrost it first. Once you take the paper off, if there's still another paper wrapping inside, leave that. You want to cook it with the paper on. We're going to take it off later and we'll show you how. Remember I told you to save that can from the tomatoes? Here's where you're going to use it. A lot of tomato in there, and I hate wasting things. It's time to put the water in. So my pre-measured water, what I'm going to do is rinse it through my can of tomatoes. Gets all the good tomato out of there, gets it into your pot. So add the water. Going to add the ketchup, the salt, and the white pepper. And we are going to let that stir that through and let that come to a boil. The tomatoes are boiling, so we're going to take the log of gefilte fish, still frozen, still in its paper wrapper, and carefully place it in the boiling sauce. Place it so that the back end goes away from you. That way, if it spatters towards the back of the pan. It does not splash boiling liquid on you. We want to let it come back up to the boil. And remember, there would normally be 2 logs of gefilte fish in here. Then we're going to cover it, reduce the heat to a simmer, and let it simmer for 40 minutes. So we've been simmering for 40 minutes. It's time to take the paper off of the fish. We want to do this carefully. Now, I've flipped over the log a few times during the cooking process because it never does manage to stay submerged completely. So notice, keeping my hands out of here, this is boiling hot liquid, and you can just gently peel with a set of tongs. Okay. Now here's where the sauce really becomes Veracruz style. Going to add the olives. Now, if you can't find kosher for Passover olives that have pimentos in them, that could be a challenge. There are plenty of kosher for Passover olives that don't have pimentos. It works fine. Just gently stir that in. Same thing with the peppers. There are mild pickled peppers that are kosher for Passover. You may have to go a little hotter or a little milder. It's all okay. It's going to taste good regardless. And also, in past years, I have seen kosher for Passover capers. I'm not seeing them so much this year. If you need to leave it out, leave it out. There's room for improvisation. As long as you've got your basic ingredients, it is still going to taste great. We're going to let this come back up to a simmer, and we're going to cook for 20 minutes uncovered so the sauce can thicken up a little bit. And this is gefilte fish a la Veracruzana. It's fast, it's easy, it takes very little of your time. You can be cooking other things while this is cooking. It's different and it's memorable. And this is going to make a wonderful addition to your Seder table or your lunches during the week.